Okay, this is Whack-A-Mole number 41, and I have Dave, the coffee maven, again. If you watched our video 2 videos ago, two Whack-A-Moles, Whack-A-Mole mules, Whack-A-Mules.
Whack-A-Mule.
He's been in coffee for what, 30 years?
Yeah, I was combined 30 years. About,
okay.
Yeah, 30 years.
Well, we're making our a morning cappuccino. He came over here. We did the one in his place. That you got to check out because his place is amazing. A little dark.
This espresso is all Mazzy though, by the way.
Well, I'm doing it this time. This is Herkimer coffee beans from Seattle. That was a little too much milk in mine, but oh well.
Delicious.
So we're going to go downstairs now into the inner sanctum of the record rooms. Watch a step. There's got to be a hat.
Trademark.
Hey George, how you doing? Good morning, George.
Morning, George.
Good morning, George. Okay, welcome to Whack-A-Mole. All right, so here we go. Whack-A-Mole number 41 with Coffee Dave. Can I call you Coffee Dave? Is that a good nickname? Do you mind?
Of course you can.
Would you rather be called?
It's been Starbucks Dave in the past, but
now we don't want to do branding. We don't want to do branding.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about.
I give them the promotions.
Yeah, don't give them that. Give them Mazzies instead.
I hope you got at least something out of them. Like you got your retirement, not that you're retired, but you got some kind of.
Yeah, they severance to me for a little bit.
Okay, so and you got some stock option shit or whatever. Or...
Yeah, those I didn't keep any of those. Though I should have kept more of them, folks. That's the key. Don't get rid of them until you absolutely have to.
Do you know what employee number you were?
3,900.
So you were in the first 4,000 employees at Starbucks. This is the time before America and the rest of the world discovered good coffee. One thing I will say, I'm a coffee snob. Growing up in San Francisco and going to the North Beach area, old school espresso, and then going to New York, old school espresso. I remember even in the 70s, mid-70s, going to Los Angeles, and you'd want a cappuccino, right? So on Sunset Boulevard, there are a few places there by where Tower Records used to be, kind of that area.
Few and far between, probably.
Right. Well, yeah. So here's the deal. You'd order a cappuccino, right? And what they would give you, they'd give you a glass mug with coffee, with liqueur, brandy or something, with a cinnamon stick, with whipped cream, and that was a cappuccino. And cinnamon. I fucking hate cinnamon on a cappuccino.
It's like old style.
It's old style. But you couldn't get a good coffee. So, whatever you want to say, good or bad about Starbucks, at least they standardize coffee around. Now, I'm not a big fan of frappuccinos and all that sugary crap stuff, but you could go into wherever you live. You could get an espresso, a macchiato, a cappuccino, a latte. You also can get the frou-frou drinks with the sweet whipped cream and the pumpkin latte crap. That's fine. I am dissonant, but I'm snooty here. But at least you can get a good coffee airports and around the world, right?
I was going to say airports are perfect. That's always the best one. It's like high promotion for airports and maybe even like on the road somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, but where you're a captive audience. Of course, they probably like that too because the profit margins are good. But hey, if it's that consistent and decent and you can count on it, it's better than not having it at all. That's what I always say. Always.
So cheers.
Better. Cheers.
Okay, now Whack-A-Moles, random record picks. Now, when I have a guest, if you've watched these before, when I have a guest, it's not totally random. We actually just pull records out of my collection and talk. So I'm not going to sneak back and close my eyes. So we'll just pick 5. So you pick...
So many here to look over, of course. And of course here they're lovely in their perfection. Absolutely.
Oh, I didn't know. You haven't been here since I redid things. Oh, all my jazz is here now. So I have a jazz section. They used to be at the bottom in the ghetto. That sounds really bad, but they used to be the bottom behind. There were doors there, and now they're out here in the open. So
Mazzy always has a plan, and he's always got everything put together, and he's always got his books and everything beautifully organized. You've seen that in the previous episodes. It's really astounding. Something, of course, that I could maybe tear a page out of another book and use it on my end to, get the, things all put in order. But hey, look, when you have it like this, it makes it so much easier. But then, is it really easy? I don't know. There's so much to look at and so much to choose. What am I gonna pick? I know I'll see something. I know. I'm seeing.
Okay, while you're looking, I'm gonna show things I just happened to Post-punk UK pressings, au pairs, very bass heavy. A group I saw once when they toured. This is recorded in 1981. I don't know if we're out of order. This is, I think, the first album. I could be wrong. Some of you gobsmacker UKers or post-punk experts will know. Playing with a Different Sex. Great record. Upbeat. Recorded at Jacob Studio, April 81.
Nice.
Leslie Paul, Jane Pete. Anyway, au pairs. And then a very kind of 80s cover. I don't love this cover, but it's very of the time, kind of deco 80s, that pink and black color scheme thing. This is recorded in 82. And it's called Sense and Sensuality. So they're really in their sensuality and sex themes with this band. But au pairs, British. And then lastly, this is a 12-inch single, I believe. Inconvenience, Pretty Boys, plus the remix of Headache. So there's 3 albums, well, 2.5 albums by Au Pairs, UK post-punk.
I think I found something too. Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys. Ooh, look at that. There it is. The old United Artists box set. Always nice. These pressings that go back. Great, like Can. That was pressed on UA back in the day, but Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys.
I always get Can and Bob Wills confused, don't you?
Oh yeah, no, they're like, a German prog rock band and, some country like...
Western Swing.
Western Swing. Oh! They're all one and the same.
Are you a Western, I guess, are you
I'm not, I'm not an expert, but...
I love
Bob Wills, though. Yeah. I love Bob Wills.
Well, this is the last time. This is the record. I believe this is the record they made way after, just before he died. They got back and did they kind of like got the band back together again, and made this. And this is a cool record.
It's a great set.
And I didn't see the country documentary on PBS, the Ken Burns thing, but there's got to be Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys.
Americana.
Very much so. Very influenced.
Yeah.
Great. I love cowboy music, and a lot of people get confused. I've spoken about this a couple of times about the difference with cowboy and country. Gene Autry cowboy, Bob Wills cowboy.
Make the distinction.
TV cowboy stuff. There's a great Rhino box I showed in my box set videos of TV, movie cowboys. Really great stuff. So we love the Cowboys.
Love the Cowboys.
Love the Cowboys.
Ooh, there's more. I know there's more.
There's tons of stuff. Okay.
So much.
So let's go. While you're looking there, I'm going to look in the jazz section here because it's easy for me.
Confusing myself.
It's okay. There's so much stuff.
Oh. Damn. That coffee's kicking in again too. That's always good.
It's my second today.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. I'm a big. Okay, this is one of the best Ella Fitzgerald records later. If you don't want a songbook, the songbooks are great, and I think I've shown these before. Ella Fitzgerald. This is a box set that came out a couple years ago of the George and Ira Gershwin, conducted by Nelson Riddle. Great thing. This is one of the original Verve records, and these covers are amazing. Ella Fitzgerald, I'm a big Ella Fitzgerald fan. I first got into her, not till the 70s, but I got into because I heard Ella in Berlin, that live record, and How High the Moon. But this box set's cool because it has these wonderful prints of all the covers, of the original covers of the series. And I should know the name of the artist. You know how Mazzy likes to always show. Well, come on, let's see. We got to see who that is. I got to give the name. Cover painting, Bernard Buffett, or Buffet. So, French artist, great album covers from the 50s. Beautiful. But anyway, beautiful.
They're lovely.
I won't show them all. We'll move on.
If you want, then to snap back a bit, another one that, good old Tiger Milk by Belle and Sebastian. Lovely album. I'm sure all pop people know it. I think it's a lovely album.
Yeah, I love them.
Fantastic.
Do you have a lot of their music?
No, I have maybe 3 albums, I think, by them, 3 or 4. I think others are bigger fans.
Hold this up.
More,
I'll show you my favorite.
Really, this is like if you want to start out with this as it's a nice poppy album.
It's a great album.
Fantastic, really, in many ways. probably, I think, their best.
I think I think that came out right before or right after this one. This is my favorite, Boy at the Arab Strap. But they're both equally as good. I think they're right. Are they right after each other? What year was this?
Are they sequential? Good question. Here's a little trivia for you.
96, 96, 98. So this one was first, or firster. I don't know if it's their first or firster. Is that a word, firster?
Firster?
Firster.
Erster.
It's a firster. This is my favorite, The Boy at the Arab Strap. Well, actually, I think it's only my favorite because it's the first one that I bought. The first one that I heard, that first song. It could have been a brilliant career.
Great band.
The great song called Seymour Stein on here. Seymour Stein was the president, a great A&R record label honcho that started and owned Sire Records. Sire Records, I mean, he discovered, the Talking Heads and Blondie and the Ramones. The Ramones, Echo and the Bunnymen.
And the Ramones.
They started out doing sort of reissues with the Nuggets reissue and those History of British Rock reissues. Seymour Stein, I think there's a documentary on Seymour Stein. Great. Madonna. He signed Madonna. You got to watch that because he signed Madonna when he was in his hospital bed. He made Madonna came over to his hospital. He was having some kind of operation. He wasn't dying or anything. Let me get my.
Oh, that's good. That's it. Yeah. It wasn't his
so
last.
Of course, look how much money Sire made on Madonna. But he was a visionary. He would go to CBGB's in New York and sign artists. And of course, he never signed Belle and Sebastian. But in the movie High Fidelity, they refer to Belle and Sebastian too.
Culty classic.
Okay.
Well, here's another rando pick. Weather Report, Mysterious Traveler. Zawinul. I think we saluted. I don't know if this started with Zawinul in my basement, in my chaotic basement.
Oh yeah, we showed Zawinul burning his record on top of the lamp.
There he is, right there, the mustache man. Had his own, did it solo, but of course he was with the Weather Report. And this has been sampled. Weather Report's been sampled in the weirdest way. I know Bill Laswell.
Yeah, Palomino, Golden Palominos, and he produced Pill.
PIL, yeah.
Public
Johnny
Image,
Rotten.
Johnny Rotten.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, it's like, so many tendrils. These guys.
He performed with Miles Davis on some of that wacky Fillmore stuff, didn't he? The Loud Fillmore?
Yes, he did. He did Fillmore East, 71, and some of those Miles sessions. Again, little Mysterious Traveler here. And they've got so many albums. You got like Black Market and a bunch of other ones. And they have Change of Personnel. But obviously real, famous dudes. Veroslav, how he's pronounced this, Vitus? Like he was another one of the, they're just these guys are.
Is he on this album? Maybe not. I don't even know who's on this one.
Kind of electronic fusion pioneers, or kind of jazz pioneers.
But even if this is around that time, the wacky Miles time, people didn't get it at the time. Yeah. I mean, he was doing the Fillmore and the rock stuff. Miles wanted to be commercial. He wanted to do all that stuff. I mean, it's amazing that who's on this? Surprisingly, Keith Jarrett.
Jarrett's on there, yes.
And it's really funny. Someone showed Keith Jarrett's solo piano stuff on ECM, and when Coln concert came out, KOLN, and I think Vinyl Rundown Greg showed the Coln concert record. Great record, Kuln. It was, I think, one of, if not the biggest ECM selling records. But I have a little story about that I traded with Greg.
I'm gonna put Zawinul back.
Keith Jarrett.
He's going back to where he came from.
Okay.
All right.
Jarrett. H-I-J.
I don't want to misfile him.
H-I-J. How do you spell J? Okay.
J.
Okay.
J is in John. It's my middle name.
Beautiful record. When we played this in the record stores back in the 70s, we'd sell this all the time. This was a huge seller, the biggest seller for ECM. Double record. We had a running joke in the store. Great label too. Manfred Eicher produced every record pretty much. But what's interesting about this is he moans. When he plays, he moans, and you can hear him going, "Oh," when he's playing and doing the whole thing, and
which turns some people off from listening to him.
Some people. He's a moaner.
You need to be patient though. He's an incredible player.
So I went to see him live with my girlfriend after she dumped me. She broke up with me. And to get her back, I tried to take her to a concert. I took her to see a moaner. How old was I?
Took her to see him.
I took her to, I was 21,
my.
22. We went to see Keith Jarrett in Berkeley at Zellerbach Hall on the UC Berkeley campus.
Awesome.
He was great. But what turned me off a little bit, the very beginning or during the intermission after one piece, he got up there and thanked the audience for being patient and quiet. And he kind of said, it's great that people every once in a while like some real good music for a change. Something to that effect, I'm paraphrasing. Almost like, fuck you, rock and roll, you're listening to good music. So,
yeah, I'm looking down on you, I'm patronizing you, and I'm telling you what you don't know that you need to know.
So he was a bit snooty.
He was snooty and elitist. He's
But then again,
musician.
that's why it's funny when you listen to him play with Miles at the Fillmore and stuff. I mean, he probably hated that, but all that stuff in the audience. But
The egos were going head to head.
In those days, audiences at the Fillmore, Bill Graham was great because he would jump dissolve because I got interrupted by work shit. Okay, Whack-A-Mole continues.
This album, Eddie Harris, and this artist, Eddie Harris. Oh, check him out. Another one, gotta say, he's quirky and he's off, but he's in only the best way. He's really like one of the more sort of, I don't know, it's like not really, I'm gonna get in front of the camera, avant-garde, electric kind of.
Don't look at me.
He's just, Eddie Harris is unique, and this is a great album, and he has many more, but pretty much all the stuff I know is on Atlantic, but I really like Eddie Harris a lot. So I'll just say that, Eddie Harris.
And one of the big selling jazz, funk, soul rocker is Eddie Harris and Les McCann live in Montreux. Is it Montreux Jazz Festival? And remember, they actually had a top 40 hit with "Compared to What." Remember that? Compared to what?
Ooh.
Do you know this record?
Les McCann.
Les McCann, Eddie Harris.
I've seen it, but I don't know.
Huge selling record. Okay, when you see this used by, make sure it looks good because these records are usually well played, so they're crispy crawler, but really great stuff. Les McCann piano vocals, and he sings "Compared to What." Eddie Harris tenor sax. So it's got a jazzy, soulful, I don't want to say pop rock style, but it's a really great cut. "Compared to What." If you don't, you've heard it. If I play it, I'm not going to play it here, but if I played it, you'd know it. So there you go.
I'm just going to keep them coming, because here's another one, the Jazz Workshop Monk. And these CBS issues, too, from back in the day, really good. I think they're early 80s, maybe late 70s. Late 70s. Fantastic. But this has been reissued in a number of different forms. But if you ever see this, in this really bold font across the top, well, and then, of course, there he is on the back. One of my faves. Speaking of just an absolute gem of
What can you say,
I'm
Monk?
speechless. I'm speechless.
He's speechless.
Yeah.
Without speech.
Yeah, I won't.
Less speech, less.
More talk, not.
Okay. If you're a guitar player out there, and if you're into recording and audio, you need to know the name Les Paul. If you don't know the man Les Paul, you know the guitar Les Paul. Les Paul basically single-handedly invented multi-track recording. Les Paul, he did. Les Paul and Mary Ford, he overdubbed vocals of Mary Ford. How High the Moon was a great hit. They had hits. I saw him once in the late 80s or in the 90s maybe. He used to play, I don't know if it was every week or every month, at a club in New York City. So I was able to actually see him once in person play.
And didn't he play at that club until he was like in his early 90s?
Yeah.
I think he was
up until it's kind of like
going.
Yeah, exactly. Les Paul, Mary Ford, Roses, more thing. But anyway, this is a great, the stuff on Capitol Records. A lot of times it's always well crispy played, what am I trying to say? Scratchy, but try to find a good version. Duophonic stereo. I don't know about that, but it's Capitol's.
Eddie Van Halen. He thanks him for one of many.
And Steve Miller, he was like Steve Miller's godfather or something. This was a record store day issue a couple of years ago of his early trio recordings. I was trying to open. The worst thing to do is try to open a gatefold when it's not a gatefold, and there's two frickin'. Is there two records? Oh, two records and a single.
How do you cram them in there without doing it the wrong way? How do you make sure they're all facing the right direction?
Ooh, look at that milky, yellowy, milky color vinyl. But these recordings, where are these from?
It's very capital.
Yeah, recorded in mono. After you go on, this is, if you see this, this is a great set. But you all need to know.
I need to pick that up.
What I love about when Dave comes over, Dave and I sell each other on records. We should like sell like Mary Kay cosmetics or vacuum cleaners, because it's the power of suggestion.
We're in the wrong business if we want to make lots and lots of money, because unless you're just, lucky or whatever, I don't think you're really making lots and lots of money, but you are passionate.
Exactly.
We don't get passionate about vacuum cleaners. We
don't.
do get passionate, I think,
and vacuum cleaners suck anyway.
Yeah, they're all made of plastic and everything. This is good plastic.
They suck.
Yeah. They can't get it right after 50 plus
They
years.
suck.
You think they
They're
would have
supposed
figured
to
that
suck.
out?
They're supposed to suck.
And
okay.
we did land on the moon, okay? So don't say we didn't.
These are recordings that go 1945, 1925, 1931. So the 20s, 30s, and 40s. Overview, 4 sides, 2 LPs.
I'm liking that.
Les Paul. Yeah.
I do not have, I must admit, any Les Paul in my collection. And I'm going to have to add some because, as Mazzy was saying, we sell each other on things that we are not even aware of, that we might find out about that are fringe or not.
And I'm not a snooty anti-CD person. There's a great, during the heyday of the 90s, there's a great Les Paul 4-disc, I think, 4-CD box set of Les Paul. Really wonderful. That would be a good one to get.
Well, in a lot of ways, in this, I don't know why, real quick on the CD fact, I'm holding a little taste of ELO Jeff Lynne in my hand here, but to revert back to the CD issue, there is certain things on CD that really are remarkable and are an option when you don't have vinyl or others. And I think you introduced me, Mazzy introduced me to, this has nothing to do with the Jeff Lynne ELO, but you did introduce me to Velvet Underground live set on CD.
Oh, The Matrix, Live at the Matrix.
Yes, which is, again, I don't think it's available on vinyl. So see it.
It is. In fact, I just discussed it in a recent video of live recordings in San Francisco. So he hasn't really watched many of my videos yet. We'll get him sucked into the VC here.
I'm catching up.
He's new to this, but
I'm catching up.
I did show that, and I mentioned that, and one of my viewers said, "Don't bother really, because it works better on compact disc, and the recordings aren't that great anyway, so you don't really need a vinyl version." And I think that's probably the case. It's one of those things you get hyped up and, oh my God, a vinyl version of that. It's limited and more expensive, so I'm not going to get the Matrix Velvet Underground on vinyl. I'll stick with my CDs. But
well, you could always stick with this too if you had to. Not another maybe segue. Well, I mean, there's a close relation to VU and that, and the Moon, and 1969.
Space Oddity.
There you go.
Reissue of not his first album, but his first whatever period album. What is it? I get confused with the early 70s Bowie before he was like the Davy Jones Bowie, where he was more like Anthony Newley and Scott Walker.
Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, there was no trippiness. He was very very like
pop singer. It's kind of like the very first. I don't know if you guys know the very first Cat Stevens record. Matthew and Son, I think it's called, or the song. Mm-hmm. He was totally different than the T for the Tillerman, and that, I don't know why I digress and show that.
Not Al Stewart.
You hold this.
You're the Cat, but
no,
Cat Stevens.
Yeah.
That and this. Yeah, this of course is, and speaking of label changes and everything else. Yes, the mid '60s Bowie that all the BBC issue. There's a box set and that came out. That's a great box set, fantastic. And of course, they've reissued these now on Parlophone. Of course, they were RCA initially. Those are the awesome ones. All the Dynaflex pressings from the '70s, awesome. But the new ones are great. But people have an issue with these Virgin reissues. But I must say, I guess I'm not as much of a snob in that respect, because I really don't mind these at all, and I think they sound good. And of course, they're also available on CD too, predominantly. Of course, the new ones are as well. But that said, this, yeah, it's back on the shelf. Okay. Here we go. We're going back, David. We're gonna go back. There you are, with all the other Davids up there.
I couldn't find that Cat Stevens one I wanted to show, which doesn't matter anyway, because I'm going to show. Here's a duo I never have seen on the VC. Doesn't mean you don't have these in your collection. If you like early electronic music or early, I almost want to say pop electronic or environmental electronic from San Francisco, the Bay Area, and they were luckily on Warner Brothers Records, and I've talked about Warner Brothers Records a lot in terms of them signing artists that seemingly had no commercial potential back in the late 60s, early 70s, and they would stick with an artist. But Beaver and Krause, Paul Beaver, Bernie Krause, Bernie Krause went on into the late 80s and 90s doing these great sort of rainforest sounding records with environmental sounds, for Nature Company, which was a chain, kind of Discovery Center store of CDs when CDs were first coming out. But Beaver and Krause made 3 records, and these are my original records on Warner Brothers. Moog synthesizers. Moog. The real word is Moog, not Moog.
Robert Moog. Bob Moog.
Parasound was their management company, and this is like 1972. Look how pristine that is. I probably played it 5 times. All Good Men, beautiful cover for Warner Brothers Records, and it's Paul Beaver on Moog Sonic piano organ, Bernie Krause on Moog, so 2 Moog synthesizer players. Ambient, avant-garde.
Not Bernie Taupin.
Not Bernie Taupin. No, that's the sax player. And you mean the Elton John? No.
Yeah.
And then there's Bernie Maupin.
Maupin.
So we're confusing. This is Paul Beaver, Bernie Krause. Bernie Krause was the guy who worked with, there's a big not rivalry, but he kind of got burned in his mind, and maybe he really did, because he went to show, George Harrison bought a Moog synthesizer in 1968. So he was the first Beatle to use a Moog synthesizer. Also, the first pop album was the Monkees, Pisces, whatever. The first pop album to have a Moog synthesizer, and it was the Monkees. But Bernie Krause went to England and worked with George Harrison. They fiddled around with the Moog synthesizer. George turns it into a solo album called Electronic Sounds, and Bernie was pissed, and that's a whole other story I won't get into. But
I need to add that.
Really cool record, weird record. They do a Scott Joplin piano song in here. In a Wild Sanctuary was another record of theirs. This was 1970. So this might have been their first one.
That looks kind of.
I'm out of order here. Whatever, out of order. Yeah, this is their first one. Look at that. But this is a VC record. This is a record you guys don't see. And those of you who are into avant-garde, a little commercial, but not even really, but really cool kind of ambient stuff.
Ed Thrasher.
Ed Thrasher was the art director for Warner Brothers Records. They did a lot of these covers.
His name always comes up.
Yeah, you always see that. And then Gandharva. Look at that beautiful psychedelic cover. This is 1971, I believe.
Ooh, that's a good year.
Look at that,
That's
right?
a good year.
So this is like the time of Warner Brothers. In fact, those Lost Leaders, remember when you used to get these records?
term.
No, I did a whole video on the Lost Leaders.
Those are great presents.
I have all of these. So if you're interested in these Lost Leaders, Warner Brothers would sell you double record sets for $1 per record. So $2 for a 2-record set. And they'd be samplers. So it'd be like Randy Newman and Bonnie Raitt and Beaver and Krause.
If only we could go back in time.
Frank Zappa and all these weird artists that were Ry Cooder that were on Warner Brothers.
Oh, Ry Cooder.
But this one, I think, part of this I think was recorded in a cathedral. Was it Grace Cathedral? But look, who was on this record? God damn it. Part of it's recorded the wonderful Grace Cathedral, which is on Nob Hill, right near the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco. beautiful, the biggest cathedral, second biggest cathedral in San Francisco, I believe.
Steve Miller isn't on that album.
No, but Mike Bloomfield, the great Mike Bloomfield, bluesy rock guitarist, is on here.
That's Mike Oldfield.
Rod. Oh no, okay. So a lot of these people like really are on different records. The Barry had a really fertile thing in the late '60s, early '70s. So he needs to get this. So good luck finding it on eBay. You could probably find it on eBay, but it's probably not cheap. But my guess is every copy is probably pristine because I don't think people play these a lot.
Kind of like this. Maybe they don't. You don't play this very much. This odd Yardbirds kind of like issue, which is on a really weird label. But if you're a Yardbirds fan, this has got some. This is a good compilation, and it's a weird one, and it's
clear vinyl, I think, right?
Oh, is this one clear? Maybe. Oh. Well, what do you know?
It's a 70s issue.
He's got the clear vinyl.
70s, early 80s issue.
I do not have the clear vinyl of it. It's in beautiful shape, of course.
Hey, we're going on pretty long here, but fuck it, right? It's the
putting it back. I'm putting it back.
First weekend in November. It's okay. I usually just leave the records here and file them away after.
We're trying not to get stir crazy.
I need an intern.
We need to move.
Send a resume and a photograph, and you can be my intern to put records away. I need an archivist, an in-house archivist.
He thinks he needs one. You saw my place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't even. I mean, I can't even begin to.
If anybody wants to move to Seattle for a month, we'll give you a room. We'll give you a room for a month, maybe not. We'll see. And you can alphabetize Dave's record collection.
Yeah, this is just we're coming up with random ideas out loud.
Would that be weird?
That'd be pretty weird.
How would your girlfriend like that?
I don't know if she'd like it very much.
Well, it depends who it is, right?
Well, it would be, but she's so much more organized than I am, though. That's the funny part. It's like, it's the yin and the yang. Mr. Disorganized, rando, and super organized, but it takes opposites sometimes, as they say, to attract the right methodology.
Okay.
Am I saying that right? I guess. I don't know. There's still, this isn't getting any easier. This is getting harder because every time I have to look around, I'm confusing myself because I'm having my channels are being crossed. I have my own, and then I see this, and it's like you're overwhelmed, but in only the best way.
This is
I love
fun.
being overwhelmed.
This is fun.
I
This
wanna
is
be overwhelmed.
the reason to have a record collection is to be able to share it, not to share it like loan them out, but have them come and people play record. I'm going to quickly go through my Captain Beefheart because I don't want to do a feature, but Beefheart has a love-hate relationship in the vinyl community. You either like them or you don't, or you kind of in the mood, or you think you need to like them, so you force yourself, and then you hate them.
Sometimes you're in the mood for them, but sometimes you're not in the mood for them. Like even yourself.
Strictly Personal, 20th Century Fox. Played on the early, the first Captain Beefheart was Ry Cooder too. Ry Cooder keeps coming into the mix. There's always either a Beatle connection or a Ry Cooder connection. So there.
And Ry Cooder.
Of course, everyone knows this. This is the one they love to hate.
Can't drive them crazy, but what a fantastic album, though. Oh, there you go.
Safe as Milk. I think this is the one Ry Cooder's on, maybe? No?
I think the Cooder is on that.
I forgot now.
He's fantastic.
Doc at the Radar Station. This is a promo copy? No. When he was on Virgin Records, 1980.
Fringy.
This is my copy from 1980. I got these. And then this is a Warner Brothers. Oh, my buddy gave me a promo. This is a promo copy of a Shiny Beast, basically bat chain puller. Warner Brothers copy. This is 1980 something, right?
Don Van Vliet.
Oh, 78. I'm sorry, 1978.
AKA Captain Beefheart.
And then this is a really beautiful Warner Brothers Rhino box set. I love this. This has
That's nice.
Lick My Decals Baby, Spotlight Kid, and Magic Band, and then an outtakes collection. And it's a beautiful box set.
That is a nice
and it has a little wonderful booklet. This came out about, 4 or 5 years ago?
Yeah, I think it's within the last 4 years.
2014, so that's 5 years ago. Nice booklet. He was a great artist too. I saw, I have pictures somewhere. I went to a show of his I saw him once perform live, and then I saw him once at an opening, an art show in New York, of his paintings, because he did all the artwork to the. I mean, that's.
And people think that Zappa is always like the guy, right? Which he maybe is, but
There we go. That's one of his paintings. Very modernist artwork. Again, I'll just show you these real quick. Captain Beefheart.
Captain Beefheart.
Van Vliet.
He went a little mad, didn't he?
I don't know how mad he was.
A little bit.
Very bluesy. It's kind of like they're basically a blues band that goes off his meds. That's a good description. Captain Beefheart's a magic band, blues band off their meds.
I'm going to be showing you one here in a second that I just found.
Okay.
Speaking of, here I am interrupted, but he got one.
No, it's
This
okay.
one though. Yeah.
What is that? Oh,
I mean, what can you say? For a man who, rest in peace, Sid. Rest in peace.
talk about someone getting off their meds. Where is
Love that album.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, we're gonna just each show one more round, and then we're gonna sign off for this edition
I'm gonna find
of
one.
Whack-A-Mole. This has been a long edition, but
What's it gonna be?
this is fun stuff.
Yeah, this is ooh. I know. I can find it. I know I can. If I just put my mind to it, I can do anything. That's what I was told. Told I can do.
Remember the
anything.
stickers? I don't know if you remember it. Back in the 70s, there'd be stickers on records. It says, "Music is your records are your best entertainment value." Of course, that's not the case now because you can watch everything friggin' for free on YouTube, which is kind of
The labels
kind of
don't-
sucky.
The labels don't seem to think so. They don't want you. Pressing vinyl is a nuisance compared to their CD counterparts, right?
Or compared to their downloading, I mean, that whole thing.
Or just taking it, which they didn't see it coming.
I didn't see it coming.
They didn't see it
All
coming.
right, so let's
That's
see.
okay. I haven't seen any of this coming either. This is like, wow. This is like really something else. I'm seeing things that I like a lot, but I'm also just absolutely overwhelmed by amazement. As your collection, like, oh,
Well, you have the same collection. It's just in different order. Right?
yeah, it's in completely random order, all over the place. Someday it'll get organized. Someday, that's my life goal.
Someday my prince will come.
Someday. That almost sounds a little. It sounds. Oh, yeah. Oh.
Okay, where are you?
The holidays. Oh.
Unfortunately, the only two Mott the Hoople albums Mott the Hoople albums I have. I don't have the Atlantic ones, but I have All the Young Dudes, produced by David Bowie, with the song written by David Bowie, All the Young Dudes. And I have produced by Mott the Hoople, arranged by Ian Hunter, Mott the Hoople, self-titled, and this has All the Way to Memphis. Great song. Martin Scorsese used that in the beginning of Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore. That great album. Martin Scorsese, by the way, great director who uses rock and roll songs quite a bit in his movies. We talked about in one of my videos, Goodfellas, with the version of the Nielsen song, Jump Into the Fire, during the cocaine paranoid scene.
The paranoia
Right.
scene.
There we go. We just talked about
And
that.
he was also manning the mixing boards for Mudhoney at a BBC live show in Europe back in I think like 92 or 93, and he had really like turned up the reverb on it.
And he was a
That's the-
cameraman in Woodstock.
So this like
And he
behind
directed The
scenes.
Last Waltz, as you know. So, and
Yeah,
your last one?
Staying Power. My last one. Well, you've probably seen it in the background.
That's CDs, but it's okay. We can show CDs. It's
Well,
not
I'm going to
vinyl.
pretend this is vinyl. But, yes, to sign off and say, this is also, or some of his stuff, like, what's the one? Something City, Fire. There's one that's only available on CD. But, regardless, it is
And-
John Fahey.
And
How can you go wrong?
And John Fahey started. He was Tacoma Records was his label, and he had all these guitar players. I think Robbie Basho recorded on Tacoma, and Leo Kottke recorded
Kottke.
on Tacoma. And Tacoma is spelled differently. Is just 30 to 40 minutes south of Seattle.
Perfect.
That's how we're going to end it. So I want to thank Dave. We'll do another VC in his house when we need to get a little more light. I don't really care about the mood lighting.
We need more space.
The space is great. I love the space.
I like the space, but I want it to be.
That's his thing. I'm not judgmental there. Anyway, thanks VC for watching.
Thank you.
Mazzy loves you. Dave
Thanks,
loves you.
Mazzy.
And have a great weekend, or whenever you're watching this.
Awesome weekend. Oh wait.